Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH. Joining today is the host of the new Game Show Network show, Tug of Words, Samantha Harris. Samantha, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here with you all.
I misspoke. I shouldn't have said new because we're starting season 2. Is that correct?
Well, it is new to me. It is my first season, but technically it is season 2. But it's the all-new Tug of Words. So new set, new gameplay, faster pacing, lots more words in one episode. So it's very, very fun.
Oh, sounds awesome. As a certified personal trainer and a recognized fitness expert, I believe you would be great at tug of war. But what is tug of words?
And I do love a good rope pull. Yes, so certified health coach and trainer. So I definitely love all that. So tug of words is, so if you like Wordle or you like crossword, the idea is that I give you a clue. We start with a 3-letter word. And from that clue, you need to change just one letter, which we've highlighted, to a different letter to make a new word that gives you the answer. So if I were to say a child's game that so let's say that we start with the word tug. We'll keep it there. Start with the word tug, T-U-G. And then I give you the clue of the little piece of cloth that hangs inside your clothing label. You would change the tug to tag by changing the U to an A. And we kind of proceed like that. Then we go to 4-letter, 5-letter, and eventually 6-letter words where we're changing 2 letters in each word. Really fun,
neat.
Really fast. And I just have a blast playing it. You know, I come from my background hosting Dancing with the Stars for 8 seasons and Entertainment Tonight for so many years. And I love the celebrity world of television. But this is so fun because I'm from Minnesota. I get to hang out with just people who just love game, and we get to know each other, and it's a lot of fun.
That is awesome. You mentioned Dancing with the Stars. Did you get to work with Emma Slater?
You know what? Emma came on after season 9. I was the host from season 8 seasons, starting in season 2 through 9. So, but yeah, she's a beauty and a great dancer.
Oh yeah, we had her on like a week or 2 ago. That's the only reason why I bring her up. When you said Dancing with the Stars, I was like, oh shoot, we just had her on. Small world.
I love it. It was such a fun show to do, and things really pivoted for me. After Dancing with the Stars and Entertainment Tonight. So I was blindsided by, this is going to take a little left turn for you, but go with me here. I was blindsided by a breast cancer diagnosis. And what it did for me, though, in many ways, is that it pivoted not only my career to become a certified health coach and trainer, and of course still hosting shows like Tug of Words, but it also helped me reclaim my life and take even better control of my well-being and start to integrate different ways to mitigate risk of recurrence, but also other types of chronic diseases like heart disease and type 2 diabetes. So speaking of tug of words like tug of war, exercise and making sure fitness is a daily part of my life. So on the stage in the set of Tug of Words, I was always in and heels, running back and forth from side to side, from the 2 contestants on one side to the 2 contestants on the other, getting in all those steps, running around with my kids when I got home from the shoot, and also really integrating a lot of yoga into my life as well post breast cancer.
So when can the Dreamhouse Nation watch season 2 of Tug of Words?
It airs every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern on Game Show Network.
Awesome. And what are the prizes?
So ultimately, if you win the first set of rounds, and it's 2 teams of 2, you end up going on to play for $10,000. So you win a little money if you win just the first set, but then you get to play for $10,000, which, look, it's such fun money because it's the type of money that, that brings dream trips, brings, that ability to add on maybe a little part of your house, the reconstruction you need to do, and lots of fun things. And talking to the contestants about what they're going to do with the money is definitely a highlight to my day.
That is awesome. So can I be a part of season 3?
You know what? We'll be hopefully holding auditions soon. I hope. Make sure you're right into Game Show Network and, reach out to me. I don't know how much pull I have, but I would always try. And by the way, for those who want, just fun little behind the scenes of me on Tug of Words that I shot on my cell phone, or they want on the other side of life tips on living their healthy life possible with my coaching, my retreats, or also this Yoga Works Pink, which is an incredible free program that we just launched with the charity, Susan G. Komen, for the entire breast cancer community. They have 3 months of free yoga at yogaworks.com/pink. Otherwise, you can go to my Instagram at Samantha Harris.
That is awesome. That you're working with Susan G. Komen, great organization. They used to make some really comfortable mattresses with Serta. But yeah, definitely. Tell us a little bit more about Yoga Works Pink.
Well, it's really an incredible program. When I was coming out of my 3 surgeries back in 2014 for breast cancer, I really could have used some more guidance in how to get my range of motion back, reclaim my body, but in a safe way. And what Yoga Works Pink does is allows a first ever dedicated yoga and wellness program that has been created for and tailored to the entire breast cancer community. And it's open to not just survivors and patients, but also to the entire family members and caregivers of that community, because oftentimes as the caregivers, we don't pay attention to our own self-care and could really use that yoga. So it's a special program. So the first 3 months are free, and for those who want to stay on, they get it at a reduced rate, and 25% goes directly back to Susan G. Komen. And anyone who's not part of the breast cancer community but who wants to support and have that 25% go to Komen, they can just go to yogaworks.com/pink and also have access to that discounted rate.
Wow, that is awesome. So with
both live and on-demand classes. So the live classes are what I love, and you get not just the Yoga Works Pink classes, but also the entire Yoga Works platform that has 25 live classes a day, 1,300 on-demand classes. But when we're live, the instructor literally is looking down the barrel of the camera at all of the participants and can say, okay, hey, Samantha, you need to go a little deeper into the stretch, do this little. And yoga isn't about bending into a pretzel. It's about literally really focusing on your body and what you can do. And that's why all of the poses are adapted so that everybody's successful to all fitness levels and all stages of work.
That is awesome. Be able to get that live support and be able to get that detail. I mean, gosh, you would think you would have to travel somewhere to be able to get that type of one-on-one personal attention, but that is awesome that you can do that online.
It is. Look, the one thing that this new Zoom world has brought to us is the ability to be anywhere at any time, and I love that accessibility and the adapted ability of the Yoga Works Pink program. But people can also just go to my Instagram or my Facebook, Samantha Harris TV, like television. I share about that program. I share about so many more ways to really, again, I'm so happy that I've been able to make incredible changes in my own life, from how I'm eating to how I'm moving my body, how I'm mitigating stress, even sleep, to be able to, again, take even better control of my body and, post-cancer and become my healthiest healthy, and now help others do the same.
That is phenomenal. Thank you for joining us today, Samantha.
Thank you. Really appreciated talking with you and everyone listening. Thank you. Have a great day.
Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom has products in stock and available to take home today. With 5 stores and almost 40 years in business, they are Ohio's appliance experts, and they help you to get the right product at the right price with a huge inventory. You can save 30 to 60% every day on everything from Bosch and Viking to LG, GE, and KitchenAid at unbeatable savings and in stock. Plus, Mattress Kingdom inside Appliance Factory has everything from Tempur-Pedic and Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and Dream Cloud mattresses in stock. Stop by any one of Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom's 5 Ohio locations today, or visit online at appliancefactory.com.
Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH. Joining us today is an author, a retired Army colonel, and certified psychic medium, Catherine Nadal. Catherine, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
When did you first learn that you had the gift?
So I talk about it in my first book, Seeing More Than Clouds in Your Coffee. But my father and I used to go fishing together. And one day he said, we're going to go crabbing. So he explained to me that we're going to put the bait in this kind of net, put it in the water, and then, a rope, would kind of pull it up and we'd see what we would get. And he warned me not to touch the rope. So my dad was kind of tall and, kind of a little strict when I was little. So he walked off on the dock to see how the other little boys were doing and what they were fishing for. And I started to hear, pick it up, and it was getting louder. And I thought, wow, I should listen to that. So I started to pull up the rope. And he turned around, he started walking towards me, and I just yanked it out of the water. And it was the biggest blue crab that day on the dock. And all these little boys came running over, and they were like, oh my gosh, you know. And my father looked at me a little like, how did you do that, kind of a thing, you know? And that's when I really paid attention to that. And then as I started to get a little older, I started to have very clear and visual dreams. And the dreams were really about people that were around me in my life, and about people and things that were going to happen to them in very kind of, kind of like predicting fashion, kind of precognition. And as a young kid, it was a little alarming, but my dad was a Roman Catholic, very strict with that, and did not want to entertain any of that. He said, you know, don't tell people about this stuff, and, you know, don't talk about it like it was really not happening. So that's kind of the beginning of it all.
So it sounds like that was rough, having to grow up and kind of suppress your talent or your gift.
Yeah, well, it was kind of the time too, you know. When you go back to when this was all happening, I was fishing with my dad when I was as young as 7, 8, 9 years old. So you figure that was 1976 to 78. So a lot of the stuff about intuition and psychic abilities wasn't really very, you know, in the media, if you would say, like it is nowadays. So it's kind of understandable, especially with him being so Roman Catholic and strict at the time. But now it's very, very different for children.
Being able to see, hear, and communicate. Please tell us a little bit more about that, how it works.
So how it works for me when I do a reading, and you know, I actually read Italian coffee and Turkish coffee. So part of that is looking in the cup and seeing something, but I see beyond the cup. So if I was doing a coffee reading, if I was sitting with someone and looking at, you know, just their reading using my clairvoyancy, I actually see things. So I can see like writing, like if someone was writing or showing me a sign. And a lot of times it'll be like a movie clip for me where I'll actually see someone in action, doing an action, and I relay that to them. And being clairaudient is when I hear them. So I can actually hear someone saying a name over and over again, or I hear the name of a place, or in some instances, especially when I'm working as a medium and I'm communicating with those that are passed on, sometimes I'll hear bits and pieces of a conversation that someone had with a loved one. And oddly enough, sometimes I take on the sound of their voice, which a few people have remarked has been pretty incredible or pretty much on point with the way they were in the living. So communicating those, it's very hard. Anybody that does this work, by any means, it's not easy. And I always tell people if I'm doing a reading, I'll either use, you know, my clairvoyancy or my clairaudience to relay the messages, but we do them the best as we can. So I deliver the information. I just ask the person who's sitting in the reading, you know, just say yes or no. Does that make sense to you? I don't want any information ahead of time or during the reading, because I want it to all come out the way it is happening as it's happening. And it's interesting because that piece of it is kind of how I work. But if you were to speak to other psychics or other psychic mediums, everyone kind of has their own style. But we translate it as best we can. So a lot of symbols have very familiar symbols for me, but from one reading to the next, my usual symbol for something may not always ring true every time.
Interesting. So tell us about the difference between being a psychic and being a medium.
Yes. So on my website, I actually offer both psychic and mediumship, and I even offer a combination. Sometimes people believe in the afterlife, but they're not interested in hearing about that. They just want to know about their job or about their relationship. So that's being a psychic, focusing on the past, the present, and the future. And a psychic reading is based on the person you're reading for. when someone orders like a medium reading, we call it mediumship reading, it's opening up the door to the other side. And opening up the door to the other side is anyone they would have known in this life that is passed on. And I'm certified as a Forever Family medium. And in Forever Family, the mediums have been certified, which is part of a kind of a training, kind of a trained testing part. And that piece of it is evidential. So that bringing through messages from the other side is also bringing through evidential evidence of their life. So personality, illnesses, cause of death, relationships, odd things like sometimes a nickname or sometimes a particular place in their life that may have been different than the rest of their life, like a change, like a major change where they may have lived in another country, or information that the family members really can resonate with. And that piece is really important because we would not know that information. That information's coming from the spirit world.
And then the important thing for our listeners to know is there is a lot of training that goes into us. Where are some of the places that you've trained?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I talk about this in my second book, And She Danced by the Light of the Moon. My dad being so strict, he was kind of, I came back from Iraq and my battle buddy had said, listen, if we survive being in Iraq, you really need to share this gift with the public. And I started doing a few psychic fairs in the New York City and the Westchester County area. And my dad said, well, how do you know you're really doing this? And I said, well, people are resonating with the information. And he said, is there any way you could be trained? And then I was told that there's a school in Stansted, England called the Arthur Findlay College of Psychic Mediums. And that, psychic studies takes, people in for 7 days and they evaluate them. And they evaluate them as they present. So when I went over there for the first time, I thought I was a beginner, and they evaluated me to be in their top class. And I was pretty astonished by it. I came home and I was so excited. I told my dad, I said, Dad, these people say I really can do this. And he said, well, what about someone here in the United States? Like, see if you can get tested by someone here in the United States. And my dad followed, the works of Houdini, and my dad was, kind of enthralled with that whole concept of him and his life and his work. And he said, I don't want anyone to ever call you a charlatan, so I want you to be, tested. And I had done some training with Suzanne Northrup and James Von Prague at Omega. And Suzanne Northrup said that she had been doing a lot of work with Forever Family Foundation, which is in Long Island, New York. And Forever Family Foundation was started by Bob and Fran Ginsberg. And they started the foundation because their daughter tragically died. And they were, going around getting readings, and they really wanted to get the validity, and they wanted to have mediums that were really giving real evidence of spirit, and wanting top-notch mediums to work, with people who are grieving. And they started Forever Family Foundation. And Suzanne had told me about it, and it's kind of a long process. I was actually certified in 2013, and the process was an interview over the phone. They want to know what kind of work you've been doing and what trainings you've gone to, and, basically how you work. Like, I'm clairvoyant and clairaudient, and, my affiliation has been with working in Salem, Massachusetts, and doing a lot of psychic fairs over the years. So, and then after a period of time, you get notified. And back then, when I was doing it, the online equivalent to Zoom was Skype. So you had to, basically sit in front of the computer, and then someone there appearing on camera, and you just give them a reading. And they don't say anything to you. They don't say yes or no or anything. And then a period of time goes by, and then another person appears, and you do a reading for them. And there's like a whole gamut of people that you read for, and you just have no idea. They don't say anything to you, and it's kind of the best way to do it because, that's how it's done, and there's no interference or anything. And then they said, you'll find out in, 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail, and it said I was certified. And the first phone call I made was to my dad. And I said, Dad, Forever Family certified me. And he, at that point, felt rest assured that, if England said I could do it and Long Island said I could do it, I could do it, And, he kind of opened himself as he got older. And he read my book, and, he would even sometimes let me look inside his coffee cup and stuff like that. So he really softened up over the years. But I was kind of glad, James, in retrospect, him being so strong and him being so strict and having the concept of getting tested and, going through some trainings. He was right to do that, though, because, now I could reflect back and see that he was being a dad and he was protecting me. And he also, was protecting the name, the family name, I guess, in some way. You can kind of smile back when you look back.
So what is Dream Central Station? And what are your missions and services?
Thank you. I know it's kind of interesting because when I spent a lot of time with my dad growing up, and my dad worked, if anyone knows New York City, there's a big building in New York City that's above Grand Central Station, and that building now is called MetLife. But back in the 1960s, that was called the Pan Am Building. And my dad and my mom actually met working for the Reader's Digest magazine. And every once in a while, my father would say, do you want to go to the city with me? And I was little. I was like 5, 6. And I thought, wow, it's exciting because we were going to get on the train and we went down to, the Grand Central Station, and we'd walk through the platform area where they actually have the ceiling painted. And there's like a constellation with stars. And I always thought it was fascinating. We would take the elevator up and then we'd go to his office. So that piece of it was really a big part of my growing up. And I, realized that I wanted to set up a website, and this is going back, going back to, early 2009, 2010, a lot of people said you had to set up a website and get a company name. And I started to think, wow, what do I really want to resonate with people? And a lot of people have dreams. And that's how I really realized that I was getting information from the spirit world, but also getting information about people's futures was through my dreams. And then I started to look at Grand Central Station and my journey, and it's very much similar to a train station. And I said Dream Central Station, kind of the concept of my business is people go to a place like Grand Central Station to go to another place. So it's like a transportation hub in some way. And coming to see me either as a psychic or as a medium is bringing them to another place in their life, either hopefully and more enlightenment in their decision making, or hopefully a little bit, less of the heaviness of grief. So for me, that's kind of how I conceptually looked at it. And I talk about that very heavily in the first book, Seeing More Than Clouds in Your Coffee. My readings are listed on the website. I offer psychic, mediumship, and a combination of both. And I also have a special reading, James. When I was in Iraq, a family friend, Sergeant Eddie Ryan, was also serving in Iraq. And he had done multiple tours. He was 22 at the time. He was a Marine Scout sniper, and he was on a rooftop. And tragically, he got shot twice in the head and, transported to Germany and transported back to the United States. He's paralyzed in a wheelchair, and I have dedicated fundraising for him since I've been home from Iraq. So Sergeant Eddie Ryan got shot on April 13, 2005, and we've been home since 2005. And progressively, he's done really, really well. He's speaking very well. He even sings. His parents take amazingly great care. The motorcycle community really is very dedicated, as well as FDNY and NYPD. A lot of the guys have kind of really rallied around him over the years. So if someone wants a really quick reading, it's a 15-minute reading. It's 3 questions, and it's $30, and 100% of that actually goes directly to Sergeant Eddie Ryan.
That is awesome that you do that for such a good cause.
Yeah, he's amazing, though.
Nice. Well, that is great that you're able to give back and to help out like that.
Yeah, it's just really amazing what a lot of our troops go through after serving. You know, they're injured, and a lot of their, illnesses are really they're for the rest of their life. So we always try to remember those that, have, sacrificed so much for us.
What's the best way for our listeners to prepare for a reading?
So the best way is I always tell everyone, first of all, kind of have an idea of what you would like. If you want a psychic reading, think about the area of your life that you think you need the most assistance with. And if it's mediumship, just stay open-minded. We can't necessarily guarantee a particular spirit will show up, but just be open-minded to the spirits that will step forward and the information and messages that come through. The most important thing for me is that I don't have any information about the person I'm reading for beforehand, and that the person is alone in a quiet, uninterrupted space. And since the pandemic, I've been doing 100% of my readings on Zoom, which is great, so that I'm able to record the reading for the person, and then I send the reading to them. So then they're able to download the reading and save it for themselves. So that helps so that they don't have to take a lot of notes until they actually get the recording.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I want to ask you about is being certified grief educator.
Yes. So recently I had done the Forever Family Foundation does several grief retreats throughout the year in different locations, Florida, California, Connecticut. And I had done one in California in the fall. And while we were there, part of the weekend actually is done by a grief educator. And we were speaking with a grief educator, and I realized that there's actually grief education training that anyone can take. Anyone who's grieving, a registered nurse, a social worker, anyone at any point in their life can take grief training. And it's to help them go through their own grief, but also to help others go through their grief. So I got involved with Dr. David Kessler, and he has the website grief.com, and it was like a 3-month course, and it was online course. It was live. His lectures were live. Some of the lectures you could listen on replay, and it was phenomenal. I mean, even for someone like myself, 2021, I lost a lot of people. I lost a lot of friends for various different reasons, and being a medium is just one part of it. But the second part of it is I'm a friend, I'm a human, I'm a family member that also has lost people. So even though we do this work to help other people, sometimes we have to realize that we need some counseling ourselves, or we need to be educated on the stages of grief again. So I found it really very eye-opening. I really found the way Dr. David Kessler laid out the program, even from the simplest thing is what to say to someone when they're in grief. What's the best thing to say to someone? What's probably the worst thing to say to someone? And to understand that we will grieve our loved ones for the rest of our life because we love them for our entire life. So I really found that really so helpful. And for all the people that I've been doing readings for, I've been, kind of letting them know about Dr. Kessler's program. And I really hope to do some work as a grief educator with one of the volunteer programs in the New York City or the Westchester County area, just to give back, because grief education really is something a lot of people aren't even aware that's available.
Well, Catherine, it has been a pleasure having you on the show, letting our listeners know all about your organization. Before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web can they find out more about you and connect with you?
Thank you so much for having me. My website is www.dreamcentralstation.com. I have an Instagram page, which is CatRichNYC. I also have Dream Central Station on Facebook page.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Take care, James.
Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom has products in stock and available to take home today. With 5 stores and almost 40 years in business, they are Ohio's appliance experts, and they help you to get the right product at the right price with a huge inventory. You can save 30 to 60% every day on everything from Bosch and Viking to LG, GE, and KitchenAid at unbeatable savings and in stock. Plus, Mattress Kingdom inside Appliance Factory has everything from Tempur-Pedic and Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and DreamCloud mattresses in stock. Stop by any one of Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom's 5 Ohio locations today or visit online at appliancefactory.com.
Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH. Joining us today is the author of Winning Fixes Everything, How Baseball Brightest Minds Created Sports' Biggest Mess, Evan Drellich. Evan, thank you for joining us today.
No, thanks for having me.
So does this book focus more on the 27 Houston Astros or the 2022 Houston Astros?
It's more a story of the 2017 Astros, and really it's beyond that. It's kind of the last decade in Houston, and by extension, the sport overall. It's answering a question, well, how did we get to this massive scandal? What was going on behind the scenes in the front office, in the clubhouse, that we get to this point where 4 people are fired, and, it was such massive news to have a World Series winning team that cheated. So the book does include that the Astros won the World Series in 2022, but it's really about everything in the prior years.
That makes sense. Are the Astros currently on the up and up?
Well, look, you're innocent until guilty in baseball, right? I think everybody in 2017, or most people, certainly on the outside in the public, thought the Astros were nobody had any reason to think, oh, they cheated. And so no, I have no evidence that the 2022 Astros were cheating. I think the more interesting question is, well, are they being run differently now? The management culture issues that existed inside of Houston under owner Jim Crane and now 2 GMs ago under Jeff Luhnow, have those been corrected? And time will tell. The book kind of sets up a question for people of, how much do you really know about what's going on behind the scenes? The team holds up a trophy and, we think things are going great, but sometimes they're really not. And, the 2017 Astros are a pretty unique example of that, where winning didn't fix everything.
So did the 2017 Astros get an asterisk next to their championship?
Well, look, not officially in the record book. That there was the commissioner considered taking away the trophy. He did not. Some people thought he should have. But I think in the minds of most people, non-Astros fans, that they know that there was something else going on there. And I think that's always going to be at the front of the conversation when you talk about that 2017 team and the franchise.
So how were those Astros able to rise and fall and rise again so quickly?
Yeah, look, I see some Astros fans push back on the notion there was a fall. You had your manager fired, you had your general manager fired, and you were fined $5 million and lost 2 draft picks in 2 straight years. So 4 total draft. It was a major rebuke, and the commissioner's office really took the baseball operations culture to task there. The irony of the whole thing, in a way, is that the core calculations as to what would make a baseball team good on the field, the Astros are really good at that. That was never a problem. And so when Jeff Luhnow gets fired and James Click comes in, there's a lot that's already in place. Click is a smart guy, does a good job as well, gets the Astros back to the World Series. And so again, it kind of goes to this this point of the disconnect that can exist between the result you're seeing on the field and how a team is actually being run. The Astros are very smart. They've always been very smart. It's what came along with those smarts that I don't think people fully understand at this point, and then the book helps reveal.
There have been so many huge scandals in baseball history. Is this one of the biggest?
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
what's your opinion?
It's pretty incriminating how they were able to, cheat. I mean, I know they had the talent. It's kind of, in my opinion, I equate it to the steroids. I mean, obviously, Bonds had the talent to be able to hit great, and the great eye, but still, I mean, that little extra seemed to really change things. Yeah,
I mean, look, to me, I think the general consensus, and who's deciding these things, but from where I stand and all the reactions I see, I think this is up there with, if you're talking about great scandals in baseball history, your most prominent, Black Sox are up there. And I think the Astros are really high on that list. And, PEDs, the difference is there are a lot of similarities between, players trying to get an edge, right? We saw that in PEDs. We saw that in Houston. The difference here is it's a team-wide scheme, right? One player, even several players on a team can use PEDs and cheat that way. But when you have I think the shock of the Astros and why it resonates with people is that you have a World Series winning team that collectively cheated. How many examples of that are there really across professional sports where the team that won it all had a team-wide cheating scheme? And so I do think this one's pretty unique.
So it sounds like the cheating was so rapid it went all the way to the highest levels.
Well, look, the owner and the general manager have denied that they had any knowledge. That there was some evidence gathered that Jeff Luhnow, the GM, had been informed and should have been aware of it. One of the reasons that he gets fired and suspended. The commissioner's office had emails where this cheating system was mentioned, and Luhnow says, "Well, I didn't actually read those emails." But whether you believe him or not, that's up to you. But certainly, he's maintained he didn't know that. I think the larger point is they created an environment where everybody was always trying to get an edge. It was very bottom line driven. It was about the result. It was about making money and winning ball games. And the rest of the stuff just didn't matter as much. And when you have that kind of environment, bad things can happen. And in this case, kind of the worst thing, when you talk about how a baseball team performs, did happen.
So obviously, Jeff is associated with a lot of negatives, but are there any positives that he did for the sport of baseball?
Look, yes. The answer is as I was saying earlier about, the Astros were always good at figuring out the core calculations as to what puts together a roster. I mean, Jeff wanted to be and did put himself in the leading group of executives in the sport who were taking steps towards innovation and progress post Moneyball, right? Billy Beane in Oakland, that's kind of the start of everything. And get these outsiders coming into the game. Everybody wants to be the next Billy Beane. The Astros did some things very, very well. Player development. They were very early on the use of these camera systems and tracking systems to be able to tell you how a pitch is spinning. They were very high tech, and it paid off. And so this question of, well, how did the Astros win the 2022 World Series and kind of maintain? Well, they had strong baseball systems in place. And, a lot of that is Luhnow's doing and the people that Luhnow partly brought in, but it's also a question of what came along with it.
So it sounds like it's going to be a great book. Where's it going to be available, and when it'll be available?
It's out now, and it came out on Valentine's Day. It's a love letter to baseball, and it's available everywhere. Online retailers, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, support your local bookstore if you got one near you. It should be everywhere.
Awesome. And then your other work is with The Athletic. Tell us a little bit about that and what you currently cover.
Yeah, I'm a senior writer for The Athletic. I cover baseball. I cover a lot of the off-the-field issues in the sport. So the lockout that we just went through is what I deal with. I'm on Twitter. It's just my name, @EvanDrellich. The rule changes in baseball this year. We've got a little demonstration I got to go to a little later today. So there's always stuff to cover off the field in baseball.
Are there any things that our fans should know about the upcoming 2023 season?
It's going to be kind of a turning point year for the sport because there's all these new rules. Really kind of the most dramatic changes we've had in a single season, if not ever, then in quite some time. Maybe you go back to the advent of the DH because you have a pitch clock now in the majors. Baseball was famously the sport that didn't have a clock. Now it does. The bases that people run around are larger. They're limiting the number of times pitchers can throw over to first base. They're going to more closely enforce balk rules. They're doing all this to try to speed up baseball and to make it more entertaining because one of the things that happened after teams like the Astros and all these analytics-minded teams came in is Everybody started hitting home runs, striking out, and walking. No balls in play, not that interesting. And they also got rid of the shift. So, sometimes you see the fielders, 4 of them on one side, that's gone. They banned that too. So, the big question going into the season from a high level is, well, how do these rule changes work?
Wow. So it sounds like it's going to be an exciting baseball season in 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. If this works, if MLB's rule changes work as intended and baseball moves quicker and games aren't quite as long, there's a chance for some rejuvenation. And at the same time, if the rules don't work out and players are constantly complaining and unhappy, it could look a little different. So it's a very interesting year.
Awesome. It has been a pleasure having you on the show, talking up your new book, Winning Fixes Everything. Before we let you go, Evan, where on social media, where on the web, where can our listeners follow you?
Yeah, I'm just on Twitter at Evan Drellich, so EVANDRELLICH.
Sounds great. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks.
Appliance Factory in Mattress Kingdom has products in stock and available to take home today. With 5 stores and almost 40 years in business, they are Ohio's appliance experts, and they help you to get the right product at the right price with a huge inventory. You can save 30 to 60% every day on everything from Bosch and Viking to LG, GE, and KitchenAid at unbeatable savings and in stock. Plus, Mattress Kingdom inside Appliance Factory has everything from Tempur-Pedic and Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and DreamCloud mattresses in stock. Stop by any one of Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom's 5 Ohio locations today or visit online at appliancefactory.com.
Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH. Joining us today is the director of Murph the Surf, Jewelry, Jesus, and Mayhem in the United States, RJ Cutler. RJ, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So who is Murph the Surf?
Well, Murph the Surf was, I guess the short answer is he was the mastermind behind the biggest jewel heist in American history. But he was also television's first true crime superstar. But he was also a grisly murderer who was sentenced to many lifetimes in prison until he found the Lord. And he was then very impactful minister in the prison system in the United States. And as you can imagine, his life story, along with having many incredible twists and turns, raises a lot of questions. And we explore them all in our series, Murph the Surf, which premieres this Sunday on MGM+.
That is awesome. There are so many great shows on MGM+. This is just another one of those great shows they're going to have. I understand this is a 4-part. How did you break it down? Did you break it down chronologically or by topic?
Well, there's Murph's life story breaks down. You can do 10 hours if you wanted to, but the first episode is about the jewel heist. The second is about the murders. The third is about his time in prison and how he found the Lord, and the fourth is about his lifelong attempts to control the narrative of his life, including his attempts to control the narrative of his life while we were making this series. And so it's by episode 4, the whole thing blows up in a most startling way, and I think viewers are going to really love this series.
A lot of times I love asking guests where the best place to see something or do something is, but I understand with you all, it's the only place to do something, the only place to see Murph the Surf, Jules, Jesus, and Mayhem in the U.S. is on MGM+. Is that correct?
That is correct. You can access MGM+ directly, or you can go through Amazon and Amazon Prime and find it. But this is exclusive to MGM+, and it starts this Sunday, and new episodes drop every Sunday for the next 4 or 5 weeks. I think they're going to do a repeat the second week because the Super Bowl's on that night, and they don't want to. They want viewers to have a chance to see it a second time, to see Murph the Surf. But pretty much every Sunday for the next 5 weeks there'll be a new episode.
Nice. And then have any movies, TV shows been inspired by the legend of Murph the Surf?
Well, if you've ever seen To Catch a Thief, the great Hitchcock film, is pretty much the same world, the same story, the same type of characters, and and there was a kind of B movie about Murph that was made in the 70s or so. But this is the first real comprehensive telling of Murph the Surf, and stylistically, there's a very 70s feel to the style of the film, and viewers will recognize that when they see it.
Tell us about your great cast.
Well, it's all real people. This is a documentary, and it's the real folks, and we were able to spend several sessions with Murph before he passed away, interviewing him at great length. So there's a dozen or so hours of interviews with the man himself that the series incorporates, but also everybody from his life, his fellow prisoners, his members of his ministry, his fellow jewel thieves, his kids, the people he grew up with. I mean, we cover it all.
Awesome. So how were you able to get such exclusive access to Jack Randall Murphy prior to his passing?
Well, I work with an amazing team of producers, and my company, This Machine, is partnered with our friends at Imagine Documentaries on this project. Ron Howard and Brian Grazer's company, and they brought the access to me. Justin Wilkes and Sarah Bernstein, our executive producing partners on the series, called me one day and asked if I was familiar with the story, and I wasn't. So they sent me over material, and I got very excited about it, and the access was arranged through them, and then our brilliant researcher Ryan Gallagher spent several hours with Murph. I met the man myself, and he was. I got to say, it was a fascinating couple of hours that we spent together.
It seems like he would have definitely three unique groups, like you mentioned, the jewelry heist people, the people he was in prison with, and then of course the religion. Did any of those people overlap? Were any of the people with him the majority of the experience?
Well, there are figures that go throughout his entire life, and there were fellow prisoners who had been part of his jewel crew. The worlds overlapped significantly, and the prison world is full of people from the crime world, not surprisingly, and then the prison ministry world, of course, it is overlapping in a lot of ways. But what's interesting to me about all of this is Murph is kind of a timeless figure in American culture. I dare say we recognize in our most recent former president a lot of the same qualities. Murph likes to spin a yarn. And people who believed his stories didn't necessarily think he was telling them the truth, but were comforted by the stories he liked to tell. This is a phenomenon in American culture and history. We're always attracted to the snake oil salesman. We like the snake oil. We like to imagine that a drop of some potion will make everything better. And when someone promises that to us, we don't really question, or a lot of us don't question necessarily whether they're telling us the truth. We don't really care. We like the story. I can't tell you the number of times I've heard when everybody was trying to figure out why was this guy so popular, this Trump guy. Why was he so popular when he was so popular? He's not anymore, but when he was, what was it? And people would say, I just like the things he says. I don't care if they're true or not. I like what he has to say. And that's a quality in American life and culture that is pretty fascinating. We are drawn to the snake oil salesman, and Murph the Surf was one of them, and a fascinating figure, and one who's resonant through our this very moment.
Awesome. So this documentary is going to separate the fact from the fiction, correct?
Well, we always aspire to separate fact from fiction. It is the true story of television's first true crime superstar.
Awesome. And then, we don't have enough time to go into all the great things that you have coming up, but I understand that you're quite busy. I mean, you got a bunch of other great projects. Any of them that you'd want to tell us about?
Well, we're most excited about Murph the Surf. We just had a film premiere at the Sundance Film Festival in competition there that we're so proud of, called The Disappearance of Sheer Height. And we expect that to be shared with the world in the coming year. So we're very excited about that. I'm hard at work on a film with Sir Elton John that's telling his story that'll be on Disney Plus next year, and so many other fun projects coming. Yeah.
Awesome. RJ, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. Our listeners are definitely going to tune in to Murph the Surf, Jules, Jesus, Mayhem in the United States on MGM Plus. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom has products in stock and available to take home today. With 5 stores and almost 40 years in business, they are Ohio's appliance experts, and they help you to get the right product at the right price with a huge inventory. You can save 30 to 60% every day on everything from Bosch and Viking to LG, GE, and KitchenAid at unbeatable savings and in stock. Plus, Mattress Kingdom inside Appliance Factory has everything from Tempur-Pedic and Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and Dream Cloud mattresses in stock. Stop by any one of Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom's 5 Ohio locations today, or visit online at appliancefactory.com.
Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH joining us today from the University of Dayton Arena. Their manager, Scott DeBolt. Scott, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We are excited because, of course, every year Dayton hosts the first 4, the NCAA basketball. It's going to be March 14th and 15th. Unfortunately, I understand that we're already too late and the tickets are already sold out.
At this time, I believe right now all available tickets have been claimed, but as it gets closer, sometimes there's some releases of NCAA holds, and then once the teams are announce whether they have any tickets that get turned back in.
Okay, so there still is a possibility where it's a long shot, but it's still a possibility. So our listeners need to pay attention and keep their eyes out there so they can go to Dayton and experience basketball the way it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. The historic University of Dayton Arena has been open 53 years. Do you have a favorite memory?
Well, I haven't been here for all 53 and everything. I've been here a little over 9, but yeah, probably it's kind of a bittersweet. But it was just before March 7th, 8th, and 9th weekend of 2020 when we hosted the women's A10 championships and our final men's regular season A10 game that weekend, and had a great crowd. Capped off an undefeated A10 men's team schedule, and then unfortunately everything shut down from COVID after that. But it was a magical weekend because that was the 50th anniversary of the building. Going into that season, we had just finished our $72 million 3-year transformation of the building, so everything was going great until unfortunately COVID hit.
Yeah, that was quite tragic. I mean, gosh, you guys had such potential, probably would have went on a major NCAA run and done some amazing things in the tournament.
Yep. Unfortunately, we'll never know, but we'll call ourselves internally as national champions.
Nice. So why is the University of Dayton Arena such a great place to watch basketball? Obviously, those upgrades play a big role in it.
Yeah, even before that, when we were talking about the renovation with the season ticket holders and some of our folks that utilize our building throughout the year, everyone said, "Don't mess with the soul of the bowl." And it's one of its nicknames is a decibel dungeon because it does get really loud inside that bowl, and that has to do with there's not a bad seat in the building. and the seats go almost right down to the court there, so you're right on top of the action. It's a great place to watch a game, and you don't need a sellout to just create a huge home court advantage, for the team and make it opposing for any opponent.
In your 9 years, there's been well over 30 NCAA basketball tournament games. Do you have a favorite memory from the tournament games?
Maybe the year that our team, the Dayton Flyers, were announced playing in the first four. So just like everyone else, we sit there on Selection Sunday as a group, and we watch that show live, and we find out just like everyone else what teams are coming. And that year threw us a little bit of a curveball and having our team come and play in Dayton, but it was a great game. It was a great atmosphere. Again, probably had a little bit of a home court advantage there from that standpoint. But yeah, that was probably one of the loudest games that I remember in the building.
Nice. Why is March Madness the best time of the year?
Well, just everyone knows about March Madness and follows it one way or another, whether you're a true basketball fan or not. And here in the Dayton region and everything, they're passionate about basketball year round. But when it comes to March, everyone's just there for it and enjoy it. And we enjoy putting it on every year, and it's we have our own little Madness of March that we call it that month, because we're hosting OHSA state girls and basketball boys and girls state tournament, and also boys district games that month. So we have a lot of basketball games in a short amount of time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it sounds like you guys are crazy busy, but it sounds like it's definitely worth it, the experience, and just to be able to have so many young people have those great memories and great moments in their lives at the Dayton Arena.
That's correct. And again, the fans are absolutely terrific. They're very knowledgeable in this region, not only just the Dayton Flyer fans, but basketball fans that come throughout the country to see the first four. It's pretty magical.
Nice. So, of course, it's always important to buy tickets early. Right now, there aren't any available. But when tickets become available, where is the best place to buy them?
The best place is to go out to NCAA.com or Ticketmaster.com and go through there. They do have there's a resale page, and then also as tickets get released, they're on there. So, but you can always visit DaytonFlyers.com for additional information about the first four and the NCAA tournament on our website.
Nice. And then, of course, the great thing about the arena, not just the inside, but the outside, you all have parking, where a lot of the arenas and venues, you have to go off-site to park. You all have plenty of great parking. Tell us about that.
Yeah, no, we're very fortunate. We're located right off the freeway there at I-75, so it makes it very easy to get getting in and out of our building. Additionally, we have a number of parking spaces on site to handle everyone, particularly for the first four and everything. So it makes it real easy for folks to be able to come. If you do have tickets, we encourage you to go online and purchase your parking pass, digital parking pass, in advance. If not, we will take credit cards day of at certain lots.
Nice. And then, of course, before the game, where's a good place to eat?
Well, I would say hold off and come to UD Arena to get some of the fine food and drink here. But yeah, if you're here early enough and everything, plenty of good places in the Dayton area, and Brown Street's just a few blocks away across the river, and there's plenty of fine establishments over there.
Nice. And then, do you have any preferences where to party after the game?
For us, it gets real late when the last game gets over, normally around midnight and everything, and we got to reset for the next game. But again, folks can head out downtown to the Oregon District or over to Brown Street, and there's plenty of places that stay open late for basketball fans.
And now, of course, we talked about the high school, we talked about the college, but let's talk about the pro. You guys have a great tournament, I want to say June, July-ish, the TBT tournament, and you guys at the University of Dayton Arena have become synonymous with it.
Yeah, we've been fortunate the last couple of years to be able to host some TBT games here at UD Arena, and we hosted the championships 2 years ago, and the last year we were able to host a regional and the championships and get a chance for our Red Scare alumni team to be able to play here at UD Arena one more time in front of our Flyer faithful fans. So, yeah, great opportunity, great tournament, unique tournament and unique finishes with the Elam Landing, a University of Dayton grad himself. And, yeah, we're hoping to be able to announce here shortly that we're going to be hosting again.
That is awesome. Well, Scott, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. Before we let you go, where's the best place to learn about the University of Dayton Arena?
Yeah, the best place to go is DaytonFlyers.com. You can find out information about all of our sports teams and all of our facilities, including our historical University of Dayton Arena.
Sounds great. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.
Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom has products in stock and available to take home today. With 5 stores and almost 40 years in business, they are Ohio's appliance experts, and they help you to get the right product at the right price with a huge inventory. You can save 30 to 60% every day on everything from Bosch and Viking to LG, GE, and KitchenAid at unbeatable savings and in stock. Plus, Mattress Kingdom inside Appliance Factory has everything from Tempur-Pedic and Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and DreamCloud mattresses in stock. Stop by any one of Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom's 5 Ohio locations today or visit online at appliancefactory.com.
That wraps it up for this week's show. Hope you can join us again next week for this Dream House. This has been James Lewis. Enjoy your weekend.